In this tutorial in Microsoft Excel, I'd like to introduce you to another use of the array formula. In this case, we're going to match the items in two columns. You see them in green on the screen. Let's assume that the master column is my part numbers. This is the official ones that we can use in our database. And the recorded ones are some that we got from another source. We need to verify to make sure that they were entered correctly, and we don't want any that don't match the master list. So we can correct that as soon as possible. So what we're going to have to do is compare the numbers in column H in the green area to make sure they're all found in column F. So the formula to do that is replicated down here in type form in B15. But we're going to take this formula and take it apart one color at a time. The inner layer of the formula uses the word match. What does match do? Well, that returns the relative position of a match in my master table. And so I give an example of that. If I just put this part of the formula on the screen, it will go through and find the first match, and it resolves to the number 2, because the first item here that I'm matching is found in column number 2 of this table. The second item, as we expand the formula, we add on to that ISNA. What does ISNA do? Well, does the expression produce an NA error, literally a pound and /A error? And it'll resolve to either true or false. It either produces the error or it doesn't. And the NA error indicates that the match failed. So for my example, what I did is I copied this larger part of the formula with this added, and the answer right now, with the way things stand, is for the first record, it's false. Now if I change the first record over here, I'll take off the 4 and replace it with a 0. Now I do have an NA error, and it resolves to true. But I'll go ahead and put it back the way it was. Okay, so that's an example of what the ISNA does. Now we're going to broaden it a little bit more and add the light blue text on either side. The next item says, I want the position of the non-matching fields. So we're using match a second time. So this will give me the position of the non-matching fields. Okay, so we have here, it says 5, and so we notice that the fifth one down over here is my first non-matching field when I use my formula. If I change this one, say to 243 for SA, and enter. Okay, now it changes so that the position, the first non-matching one, is now the 6th item here. I'll simply undo that. So that's what we get when we add this part to the formula. One more section in this long formula is we add another query for an error, is NA, and then we add the other brackets on the end, and in this case it's false. It looks for any mismatches and returns false if some are found. So it did find some. Now if I want to figure out how many mismatches I have, I use the formula over here. Again, we're using our same sub-formulas. It's the sum of 1 times the number of false matches. It creates an array in memory, computes the number, and it resolves to 2. Again, if I change one of these to another non-matching number, I'll change the 46 to 64. And now we see that this number changed, and so did this one. It's the number of non-matching items. And the first one, relative position, also changes. The other thing that we can find is this will give us, this formula here will give me the first invalid non-matching number. And it actually, the word index here, we used in another lesson, it actually pulls out the data from that location and tells me that this cell here happens to be the one. So it's a complicated formula, but I hope I helped you figure out a little bit, one step at a time, how it builds on these various formula combinations.